Chelsea!
I'm staggered. I didn't expect any chants this week. It's Chelsea chanter, not Chelsea chadder. I love it. What we didn't do in the first part, I mean, because basically I've been so discombobulated by Neil Wobbly Head Barnett being late, that we didn't actually have a look at the stats. Can we have a look at the stats for the match? Would that be a nice thing to do? I think I know one of them. One of them was that Chelsea scored 3 goals. There you go. Chelsea scored 3 goals, and Norwich scored 1. I do like having a look at this. It actually always makes a bit of interesting reading, doesn't it? Because basically, for me, it proves that there are lies, damn lies, and then there are statistics, Darren. What do you make of all of that?
I don't know. I think probably the same as everyone else. It was, well, I was going to say quite even, but then you look at actually shots on target, and we were a lot better. I don't know. We did. Obviously, in the end, deserved to win the game. Their best chance after their goal was the air shot, and we kept actually pressing on. Now,
I know we've got him on the benches tonight, and obviously I'm clearly very excited about it, but I think we really should talk about Willian first.
You gave him a bit of a slagging last week, didn't you?
I know. I've got something actually... Okay, I'm going to tease this now, because I know I've been desperately wanting to hold my fire on this, but you've kind of tempted me not to. Do you know what? I did one of those, one sport commentary things.
Yeah.
Actually, me and Chadder were in the house doing that, although he'd disappeared at half time because I think he was bored. Were you bored, Chad?
No, as I said to you, the text, I had an important phone call to deal with.
I think you were bored, mate.
For the whole second half?
Yeah.
Yes, big news. Yeah. I'll tell you later on.
You can't tell us on air. It's secret. Anyway, we were in there, and basically, Jose takes Mata off and brings Willian in, and I said, whatever, I can't really say it on air, but I said, why did he do that in polite English? Why did he bring Willian on? And then within 5 minutes, Willian's pretty much set up a hazard goal and then scored an absolute worldie. What I would like to say, Darren, to kind of get away from the way I mugged him off last week is, Willian, it was really something, wasn't it? What a goal, man! What a worldie!
It was Robin-esque the way he curled it into the corner. Actually, I think he worked hard and he clearly wanted to. He was clearly
did
right.
He want it, sir?
I think he did. Yes,
he wanted it.
But I think it was just with the game so stretched. Mata doesn't have the legs to get up and down the pitch.
Well, he's only got little legs.
Well, quite. Yeah, he's not physical and he's not fast. Willian could run up and down, as could Hazard, and that was the idea behind it. You got 2 men who can chase the game up and down from one end to the other, as they both did for Hazard's goal in particular, where Hazard won the first header, then Willian, then Oscar, and they're both up there. So, yeah.
I think it was. I mean, the lovely thing is, I know I was a bit down on him because he hasn't played, particularly well in the bit parts that he has. But I think it's actually really good for him, Darren, that he's actually come on and made a real difference. He'll actually feel a proper Chelsea player now, won't he, mate?
I like thinking he always would have done, but it does always help. I think it gives you a bit of confidence after you got your first goal, and especially with the fans, the way they were after we scored and everything. And I do think that they do say, don't they, about attacking players and strikers, about scoring goals and confidence. And I think that for him, it was important to get his first goal.
Now, our lovely people on Mixlr have been having a go at Chadder already, because they're talking about Barr. Now, the interesting thing about Barr was that I really didn't expect to see him play. I really did think Eto'o was going to play. After all, Jose pretty much teased that all week, saying that he was going to start. Barr starts instead. Were you surprised by that, mate?
No, because Mourinho kind of hinted towards Norwich's physicality and how they wanted someone to kind of counter that, and Barr's the strongest of the three and the best, in theory, the best at holding the ball up. And you saw in the first 5 minutes exactly what the game plan was, which was to get him with his back to goal and setting people up, which is exactly what he did for the first goal.
I thought he actually did really, really well there. What I really liked about Barr, it was a lovely layoff for the goal. It was so Route 1. Lampard, Bosch, 50-yard ball. Barr controls it really well, lays it off to Oscar, who scores a great goal. But generally, I thought that Barr looked really, really up for it, and he really did trouble them in the air. Old Ruddy was having a mare. Ruddy was thinking, this is my chance to play instead of Joe Hart.
And Joe Hart will be breathing.
Joe Harted him.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And the sun was a bit of a problem for him in the first half.
I think Barr was a bit of a problem for him.
Of course he was. Barr was fantastic first half, missed that easy chance at the start of the second, and then just didn't recover from it at all.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. He did. To be fair to Barr, mate, seriously, I think he did really, really well. I don't think he did like those absolute mercs on Match of the Day were saying that he was our best striker and that was the best performance so far this season, because that's errant nonsense.
No, but I mean, he did play to his strengths. He was holding the ball up. He was very physical. I think Ruddy just about managed to, I guess, he was off balance in the end, get the better of him. But he was he was clearly very up for it. He was winning headers and things like that. Like Pablo said, that miss could have gone better for him, but.
I mean, I tell you what else I thought. I mean, and Barr was, I think, very instrumental in this. It was very easy to be. I think it's very tempting to say that Barr is a big presence as a striker, and dare I say it, trying to play a kind of a Drogba-esque role, big lump, can hold the ball up and all the rest of it. But whilst it's true to say that we did kind of go route one with him a bit, I also feel that we actually mixed it up a lot, and I found this was a fascinating aspect of the game. I felt that we were going long sometimes, we were also going wide occasionally, and we were also trying to play through the middle. So I felt that it was really interesting to watch us try and mix it up and not just go kind of tick-a-tacker or route one. What do you think about that, Pablo?
Yeah, we're definitely trying and experimenting with different ways to get the ball into decent positions, and it has been a bit of a problem breaking through the last line, but it wasn't a problem at all on.
No, it was good. I mean, one of the things that Jose said as well in the aftermath was that we don't want to play like Barcelona. I mean, I know he said a lot more than that, but basically that's what he was saying. If you're not Barcelona, why play like Barcelona?
Mourinho's always had his style of play before, like Barcelona really had their sort of style recently, and I think he knows what he wants. Mourinho, he doesn't care about scoring a lot of goals.
He knows what he wants.
There's a ban on that.
Yeah, there is a ban on that.
Sorry, couldn't resist.
Yeah, I don't know. Mourinho's always had his own style. Mourinho knows how he wants to play, and he's never going to. I mean, I think it's like I was saying about the old taking off a left back, putting on an attacking player. Mourinho's not going to change his way, even if Barcelona. It doesn't matter how other teams play. Mourinho's got his own way of playing.
Now listen here, I think I've heard some hang on, David Coleman style, breaking news. That's actually, it's a bit Jimmy Savile, that wasn't it? That was a bit weird. I don't know why that came out, dearie me. It's not as though he's one of our own. But I have breaking news, and the breaking news is that Neil Barnett is in the house, and I think he's going to be sent through to sit in the seats that we have left vacant for him any minute now. So they don't normally do this on normal TV. Normally they would wait to a part. No, get him on the table. I don't care. Get him in now. I want to talk to the man. Anyway, before we see him, I just want to move on to something else actually, and that's a little bit of the downside of the game, because I thought, oh, hello, I can hit. Right, okay. Round of applause for Neil Spy Barnett. Better late than never. It's a good job we're not radio, Mike, isn't it? Look at this. They're being really professional. They've cut to the benches so they don't see you squirm in beside us.
I'm sorry, I thought I was going to your funeral. I didn't realise it was a live...
Your funeral, my son. Mate, it's lovely to see you.
Hello, gang.
It is lovely to see you.
I'm sorry I'm late. I had lunch with Barry Bridges, former Chelsea and England centre-forward.
Okay, hands up,
not one to name drop.
Yeah, is that a good excuse? Hands up all those who think that is a good excuse. I actually think that is a good excuse.
Yeah, he lives in the most rural part of Norfolk.
Does he?
And he had to lead me to the ring road in order to get back.
Neil, I have to say, you've hardly missed a thing.
No, especially not the game yesterday.
No, well, I mean, we've done a bit of the whole Jose, basically being a tactical genius, bringing on 3 subs and that working. We've done a bit of Willian, who we actually have on the benches. Can you see Willian there? We brought him in specially for you, mate. We've kind of done Bar, and we're about to go on to why do we have such an inability to be clinical and finish off a game? Because at 1-0, we were all over them like a rash, and frankly, we should have killed that game off. We should never have had to have done what happened in the second half, losing a goal and then having to bring subs on to win it 3-1. We should have been all over in the first half, do you think?
Our record at the moment is, of our last 29 league goals, one has been scored by a centre-forward.
That's not very good, is it?
Well, centre-forwards have to offer up a lot of things now, and those that offer up goals only, Jermaine Defoe, aren't good enough. But those who don't offer up goals at all aren't good enough either.
Do you think, this whole striker debate is fascinating. I mean...
Do I think Lukaku should have stayed?
Well, no, I'm not going to get onto that
Well,
yet.
I'm going to answer that straight away. Because
Welcome back, Neil.
Let's just tear the script up right now.
Right, let's just chuck that over there.
Well, the fact is,
Go for it.
isn't everybody in the media saying, "Oh, Chelsea made such a big mistake because Lukaku has gone to Everton"?
Well, yes, but I mean, you know what? I tell you what.
All right, does anyone believe that?
What do you reckon, benches? Cut to
don't.
the benches so I can find my
I
script.
don't.
Thank you.
Jose knows what he's doing.
You don't know what you're doing. You know I don't know what I'm
That was
doing.
one of the best bits of the game yesterday, by the way, when the Norwich fans were getting more and more and more irate and singing at the referee, "You don't know what you're doing, you don't know what you're doing," and he finally gave a free kick to Chelsea, and they all cheered, and the Chelsea fans came straight in with, "You don't know what you're doing."
That's good. We'll save that one possibly for chant of the match. I tell you what was interesting was match of the day managing to focus entirely on a penalty that Norwich was supposed to have had, which I don't actually think it was a
The
penalty.
Ramirez one.
Yeah, and I've seen.
I think it was, but also we had one in the first.
Yeah.
The referee was awful towards both teams yesterday. Twice in the first half, he gave.
He was the referee who did the Youth Cup final.
Swarbrick,
Neil
wasn't he?
Swarbrick, and he was terrible. He couldn't manage the Youth Cup final, so why is he going to manage a Premier League?
It just made me laugh that he gave 2 Stonewall corners, has got like 2 Norwich as goal kicks to us, which kind of is a safe option, but it's just kind of fairly shows that he just didn't know what he was doing.
Well, the other thing that match of the day. Did these guys actually ever watch football? I mean, it just amazes me. But they concentrated. The bits of analysis on Chelsea were the penalty that Norwich should have had, in their opinion, and Lukaku. They wouldn't actually talk, about anything positive that we did. It was all about Jose's a Burke because he let Lukaku go to Everton.
Let's look at the Lukaku story. It's worth looking at. He had a very good Asia in the pre-season. He had a very good Inter Milan and Milan in America, and then he got selected to start against Real Madrid in the final of the Guinness International Club Tournament, which actually didn't so much promote Guinness as promoted what was it called? Iced Guinness something or other. I can't remember what it was. And
say Guinness again, and we might actually get sponsored by them.
And when I challenged the whole ethos of iced Guinness lager, that's what it was called.
I'd quite like to have Guinness ice cream.
Iced Guinness lager, and when I challenged the whole ethos of Guinness lager, I was actually told you have black coffee, white coffee, and coffee with alcohol in it. So why shouldn't you have iced Guinness lager?
Well, there we go.
So,
what's this got to do with Lukaku?
Lukaku
Did you try any ice Guinness lager for a start?
I did, yeah.
Was it nice?
I think the technical term is
Oh,
You're not allowed to say that.
You haven't been briefed.
Oh, no,
in
no.
our new studio.
This is the list, right? This is we're
Well, it's
clean
like-
now. Yeah, I'd just like to officially
Get off the show,
apologise.
Spy.
No, he has to go back and come back in. But we apologise for Neil Barnett's foul language. It's terrible. I'm very sorry. We all know that we're supposed to say poo instead of that word he said. There we go. Even Jonathan Kidd got that right.
but it wasn't poo, it was worse.
I know. I think he said the poo. What was he saying? He said it in relation to Spurs. The poo from White Hart Lane. It was very funny. You had to be here, Neil. But there you go.
Lukaku was very poor against Real Madrid. Got substituted at half time. He came on, of course, in the games against Hull and somebody else. And then he started. No, he came on at against Bayern Munich in the Super Cup. And again, I'm afraid he's not at that level yet.
Thank you, Neil. I've always liked you. And I
Even
always
when
agree
you-
with you on that.
And
I
it was
agree
nothing
entirely
to
with that.
do with the penalty shootout. He really
He wanted to go, and he was right.
He's not at that level yet. He for teams that counter-attack, that defend a lot and counter-attack, and there's a lot of space behind the opposition because they're always coming from deep, and he's running in behind. He's great, but when he's got to play with his back to goal and get involved in the football, he's got a way to go.
I think that the essential point, Neil, is he's very young. He is still learning the game, and there's a massive difference. As Jose, who knows probably just a little bit more about football than me, has said, it's one thing playing for Everton and there's another thing playing for Chelsea. And I would rather he continues to learn the game. I think Martinez is an exceptionally good manager and plays football the right way. I'd rather see Lukaku learn there, build up his confidence, get used to the Premier League, and then come back to us a much better player. And I think he will.
I disagree. I think that Jose.
We were getting on so well,
Jose
Neil.
doesn't know more than the game than you.
Oh, Neil. Listen, I tell you who does know a lot more than me about most things, actually, and that's our lovely people on the benches, Chadder. What do you think about Lukaku? There's a lot of nonsense in the media about it. Do you think he should have stayed, or do you think he's right to have gone?
He is
No
still,
pressure,
he is still
Chad.
young. He is still young, but he does give us something that the other three don't give, which is goals.
Not yet. He hasn't scored for Chelsea yet.
No, good stat that, Spy. I like that. No, he hasn't scored for us yet. Correct.
Don't mess with the Chad Meister on Stats Spy. What are they saying on Mixler and Twitter and those weird things I don't really understand?
Yeah, it's really mixed at the moment.
Oh, it would be on Mixer.
As you'd expect. Some have said that they want him to stay because he's scoring loads of goals for fun at Everton and he did for West Brom. And others that are saying, agree with Spy, that he's not quite ready yet, so go and apply your trade-off somewhere else and come back ready and a better player.
Have you talked about Sturridge?
No. He's a banned word on this. He's on that list. Can't you read it? We're definitely not allowed to say that word on this show. What I will, though, say is I've just looked at the Mixler feed and Rob Dog, who I love to pieces, has just said, Chidge, give the Canaries some props. Rob Dog? No. Right, what I would like to do is also, actually, this is one of the interesting things I thought, actually, about, we were kind of touching on this earlier, weren't we, really? That the difference between last year and this year is that this year Jose can bring on Hazard and Willian and, effectively win the game with those subs, which just tells me that we have the depth to our squad is much better than it was last year. And Pablo, do you think this is going to help to make a difference in terms of a title challenge this year?
Yeah, of course it is. That and the fact that no one else is doing particularly well so far. There's no one that looks unbeatable. There's no one that's really started well that's going to be able to keep it up. People saying Spurs started well. They got absolutely hammered at home yesterday. Excuse the pun.
That really was my highlight of the weekend, actually. But anyway, go on.
So I honestly don't see why not. We got 6 players in that position. I think we pretty much worked out nine of the players that Jose would like to start week in, week out, or at least in his first choice team now. And I think it's getting better each game, really, isn't it? No.
Well, I do. We were saying this last week that you can see elements of progression as we go. And we're going to talk about the Stoya game after the next part, the Fannies in the next part. But I'm really happy with the way it was coming together. What I will say, though, is that, I was very, very frustrated that, we didn't kill the game off when we were so dominant at 1-0, that we allowed them to get back into the game in the second half. And actually, Rob Dog's got a point. I think, to be fair, Norwich came out much better organised, and I thought they played quite well. So I was a bit frustrated, and we're going to get a draw and we should have won it. But I was really pleased just to see the way that Jose changed it and the way that he integrated, Willian and Hazard. And here's the thing. What I'm really pleased about with that Norwich match, which is again an element of the progression, is that we had to battle really quite hard for that win, and it showed quite a lot of character to change it around. And I don't think that's a bad thing in terms of the development of this team, Darren.
Yeah, and I also think, though, with the changes Mourinho made, at least if it was a draw, everyone will go away and think, well, at least we did throw everything at it. Yeah. And we don't think, we should have done this, we should have done that. You couldn't go more attacking, really, than Mourinho had done within reason. So it was definitely the right sort of changes, and it's classic Jose. It's what he'll always do. He'll do it throughout the whole season. Whether Cole was actually injured or not, anyway, he was
injured.
He would have been taken off anyway, though.
Yeah,
do you think?
Jose didn't know he was injured, but it was actually he brought that injury out of the Stour game. He was injured away in Stour. Can I drop another name, Chidge?
Yes.
David,
I would expect nothing less from you.
David Pleat, no less.
David Pleat,
our favourite Tottenham manager. David Pleat was at the game for Radio 5, BBC Radio 5. And I had him on my... I'll rephrase that. I invited him onto my American radio show, which American people...
They've already mentioned
about.
it, Neil. Is that bloke, that crazy guy from the radio, going to be on the pod?
And I brought up the whole ethos of management and whether managers should be more proactive and just what Mourinho did yesterday. And he said something quite intriguing, actually. He said... Jose Mourinho needed 2 things in order to be able to pull that off. He needed the quality of player to do it, but he also needed a strong captain on the pitch to keep the players together while they were doing it. And he said, and in John Terry, Chelsea have a player back at the top of his game
Oh.
who is making the difference in the Premier League. And he said, I think his actual words were, I hate to say it to you, Neil, but I think Chelsea will win the league because they will be the hardest team to beat.
That is a massively. I mean, I love the point about JT, and I think that's so true. But I also think what we're also seeing is that we are leaking a lot less goals already, and he's building it from the back. A point I want to pick up on when we talk about Storer, because you and I would talk about this on the phone. But I definitely think we're becoming more solid, and I think that's just classic Jose. He builds from the back. You know, he blocks up the goals, and then he works on the attack, and I think that's what we're already seeing.
Well, the other thing, I don't know if, to be honest, I don't know if they showed this on Chelsea TV, but after the Stoya game, I asked him about Ramirez, and I said he's running less, and therefore seems to have more control. He's playing more simply, and therefore giving the ball away less. And he said, and when he passes it, and he is running, he's running forward. I'm telling him, run forward, run forward.
We'll talk about Ramirez in part 4 when we talk about Stoy, but we've got to go to a break now. But we'll be back afterwards to talk about the fannies. Woo!